Tommy Shelby almost always got what he wanted from his negotiations. Whether he was negotiating with rival gang members, police, politicians or even his own family, he always showed up prepared, confident and gained the upper hand. Today I'm going to be breaking down the 5 main strategies Tommy used to negotiate like a pro, with examples from the series. The first point is preparation and information. Tommy makes sure whenever he goes into a negotiation he's prepared with all the relevant information on that person and their background. He does this by trying to understand that person's wants, needs and weaknesses, but also gets a good understanding of the person and all relevant information about them, whether that's personal life or business life. Because of the position Tommy is, he has the resources to do prior research where he can and even get people to do this for him. This means when he finally sits down to conduct the meeting, he already has some sort of an upper hand, as he has a lot of knowledge around the person and more often than not knows what the other person's motives are. Not only does he make sure he has all the information, but he also prepares for the meetings appropriately. This could be doing things like keeping his brothers in the meeting, acting as a physical reinforcement, or even small things like making sure he doesn't drink before a meeting so he's on point. Nevertheless, a lot of the work Tommy does is before the meetings even take place. A perfect example of this is in season 1 when he sat down to meet with Billy Kimber for the first time. Not only did he expect Billy Kimber and do a lot of research about him, but you also see him drinking beer in the pub beforehand, as he knew there could be trouble. He also made sure that it was on his terms and surrounded by his brothers and his friends, which definitely played into the negotiation he had. Point 2 is that he's calm and calculated. One trait Tommy had in all his negotiations was that he always stayed calm. This might seem like an obvious one, but when he's in life-threatening situations where he's been threatened or undermined, a lot of people would lose their temper here, or act scared, or just be emotional. Being calm no matter what the situation creates a sense of confidence and power where it stops the other person feeling less aggressive and intimidating. Imagine if you're pointing a gun at someone and that person is still acting very calm in the situation. It almost defeats the whole point of threatening someone. Tommy always made sure he was calm and collective and never expressed too much emotions when negotiating. Let's take the scene between him and Alfie in season 2 as an example. While Alfie was pointing a gun at Tommy, Tommy appears to not care at all. And from Alfie's perspective, this could come across very unnerving. People expect stress, urgency and desperation in negotiations. Calmness almost flips the script and forces them to question their own position. Keeping calm is always a positive, and it makes Tommy unpredictable, unreadable, and doesn't give away any of his bluffs, and can even make the other person feel unnerved. Point 3 is silence. Now this doesn't mean staying silent throughout the whole negotiation obviously, but alongside calmness he also uses strategic silence as a weapon in negotiations. Tommy doesn't speak just for the sake of speaking, he doesn't waffle, he doesn't try and spend time convincing people, and he doesn't make small talk. Choosing when to be silent during a negotiation does a few things. Firstly, it can make the person you're talking to feel very uncomfortable and confused to what Tommy is actually thinking. Being silent, especially when someone asks you something, can break the flow of the conversation and allows you to control the conversation how you want. It makes Tommy appear confident. Naturally, people don't like being silent. It can almost make the other person trip up and say something just to cover the silence. And this can oftentimes feel to someone saying something they shouldn't have, like revealing too much information. Also, being silent for a lot of the times means that when you do speak, your words hold more value, in comparison to someone who talks a lot and overshares carelessly. I also think for Tommy specifically, he doesn't always reveal his true intentions or say what he's actually thinking, and the silence is just a byproduct of this. The fourth point is that he's a body language expert. One tool that Tommy uses in every business situation is being an expert in body language. This works both ways of controlling his own body language to send signals, but also reading other people's. He often wants to appear confident, in control, and sometimes even threatening, and he doesn't do this with just words. Some of the things he does is maintaining a strong eye contact. When sitting down, taking up a lot of space with his body. He doesn't fidget or make any quick movements. Using gestures while talking and explaining things. A good upright posture. And all of his movements are slow and intentional. He has controlled distance with everyone who's communicating with, and packages all together, it sends a lot of signals to whoever he is negotiating with. When he wants to be aggressive and send threatening signals, he can do this with just his body language. Alternatively, when he wants to diffuse the situation, he can do this as well. And having this skill really helped him with negotiating. Point 5 is he uses leverage. One of the reasons Tommy researches enemies beforehand is that so he can always have some sort of leverage in negotiations. Having leverage always gives him the upper hand, even when he's on the back foot. Tommy even said it in season 1, never parlay when you're on the back foot, which is why he never wanted to go and meet with Major Campbell without any leverage. He does this in almost all meetings with potential enemies. He uses multiple forms of leverage, including blackmail, information, money, business partnerships, and just carrying out tasks for the person in question. However you label the leverage, it's something Tommy always made sure he had in negotiations to put the conversation in his favour, or at very least make it level playing field. There are multiple examples of when he did this. For example, when Tommy met with Alfie in season 2, he used the idea of a potential partnership to help Alfie overcome the Italians and win the war in London as part of the negotiation. This was both an offense and defensive strategy, as it allowed Tommy to force people to cooperate, but also help protect him and everything in between. These are just a few ways Tommy negotiated like an expert. This isn't something Tommy learned from a textbook, but something he would have picked up through experience and having lots of different meetings and conversations with a plethora of people. Even though he negotiated like a pro, he didn't always come out on top. There are multiple times Tommy got undermined in conversations with Mosley and other enemies, with his antagonists also using some of these skills. But nevertheless, these are 5 out of many key points he used to be a pro negotiator.